What does financial anxiety actually sound like? For most of us, it isn't a scream. It is the deafening silence of 3 a.m., that specific, hollow hour when the world is asleep but your mind is racing through a mental ledger of debts, upcoming bills, and the terrified calculation of how long you can survive if the paycheck stops coming. It is the sound of the American dream glitching, the realization that no matter how hard you hustle or how many hours you grind, the math just doesn't seem to add up. This silence is heavy, it is oppressive, and it is the soundtrack of a consciousness trapped in the state of lack. It is the accelerated heartbeat you feel when you open an unexpected envelope from the bank, or that sudden drop in your stomach when the card reader takes a second too long to approve a transaction. For the vast majority, the pursuit of prosperity has become a noisy, violent battle. It feels like a constant effort, a wrestling match against circumstances, against the economy, against the system. We are taught that wealth is the result of blood, sweat, and tears. We are conditioned to believe that we must fight the world to extract a living from it, leaving us exhausted, depleted, and spiritually bankrupt long before our bank accounts run dry. So, you turn to the law of attraction. You try to visualize. You strain your mind to construct complex scenes of luxury cars, mansions, or a laptop on a beach in Bali. You recite affirmations. I am a millionaire. I am wealthy. But deep down, in the pit of your stomach, it rings false. It feels like a lie. Your conscious mind, that critical, analytical guardian at the gate, looks at your bank balance, looks at your credit score, and screams back at you, "Who are you kidding? Look at reality." This internal conflict doesn't create wealth. It generates resistance. It creates a psychological friction that pushes your desire further away. But what if I told you that the secret to calming this financial storm isn't a scream, but a whisper? What if the hustle is actually the obstacle? What if I told you that Neville Goddard, the greatest mystic and metaphysician of the 20th century, taught a method so simple, so deceptively quiet, that it can be condensed into a phrase lasting only 1 second? This is not about adding more noise to your life. It is about bypassing the noise entirely. It is about slipping past the doubts of the conscious mind and planting a seed directly into the fertile ground of the subconscious. Welcome to Feeling is the Secret. Today, we are not talking about getting money. We are not talking about manipulating the external world of effects. We are talking about gently lulling yourself into a state of inevitable wealth, using what Neville called the Lullaby Method. This is the single potent phrase that calms the anxiety of the survival mode and reprograms your financial reality while you sleep. We are going to dismantle the belief that you need to struggle and replace it with the profound knowledge that you only need to be. The agitation you feel regarding money is real. Do not deny it. It is a physical sensation, a tightness in the shoulders, a shallow breath. It is the biological product of years spent reacting to the external world, what Neville called the world of Caesar. This world of shadows shows you invoices, student loans, inflation, and limits. And you, in a desperate attempt to apply the law, sit down and try to force a new reality over this old one. But you cannot build a palace of gold on a foundation of terror. As long as the anxiety exists as your dominant vibration, no amount of visualization will stick. This is where most people fail. You try to visualize $1 million, but your nervous system is wired for survival, not abundance. Your analytical mind rejects the gap between your current reality, the debt, and your desired reality, the freedom. The gap is too wide. The leap is too far. Instead of feeling powerful when you visualize, you feel foolish. Instead of feeling relief, you feel a heightened tension because you are acutely aware of what you don't have. This, my fellow creators, is the exact point where people give up, believing the law doesn't work for them. But the law never fails. Only the application does. The method you are using is not suitable for the state of anxiety you are in. This is where the brilliance of Neville Goddard shines. He understood the architecture of the human mind. He knew that the subconscious, the true seat of creative power, the God within you, is not impressed by complex images if those images are devoid of natural feeling. The subconscious speaks only one language, the language of feeling. It does not care what you imagine. It cares how you feel about what you imagine. For someone trapped in the rat race, for someone paralyzed by financial anxiety, the most desired feeling is not excitement or ecstasy. It is not the adrenaline of a new sports car. The most powerful, most transformative feeling you can access is relief. It is the exhale. It is the dropping of the shoulders. The Lullaby Method is the perfection of simplicity because it targets this specific emotion. It is the art of distilling your desire, total financial freedom, down to its purest emotional essence. Instead of creating a 30-minute mental movie that you can't sustain, you are going to create an emotional freeze frame of 1 second. You are going to find a phrase, a tiny sentence that implies your desire is already an accomplished fact. A phrase that, if true, would give you an immediate wash of peace, gratitude, and deep relief. Why did Neville call it a lullaby? Think about how you calm a crying child. You don't show them spreadsheets. You don't give them a lecture on logic. You hold them and you whisper a simple truth over and over again. You do not calm a frightened child with a logical dissertation on safety statistics. You simply hold them close and whisper, "You are safe," or "sleep." Your conscious mind, currently agitated by the pressures of the modern economy and the crushing weight of bills, is that frightened child. It is frantic, illogical, and reactive. Your I am, your divine awareness, must step in, not as a drill sergeant, but as a loving parent, lulling that chaotic mind into a state of profound peace. The Lullaby Method works because it bypasses the critical guardian of the intellect entirely. The phrase is too short to be analyzed, too simple to be debated, and too pure to be rejected. This technique is the ultimate hack for the overthinker, the analyzer, and anyone who feels too stressed to visualize a complex scene. It is a dart of pure feeling aimed directly at the heart of your subconscious. So, what is your lullaby? It depends on the specific freedom you are seeking. If you are drowning in debt and the walls are closing in, Your phrase might be a simple, exhale-inducing, "It is finished," or "Thank you." Perhaps you use Neville's personal favorite, the phrase that implies total wonder at how well things worked out. "Isn't it wonderful?" The words themselves are not a magic spell. The magic lies entirely in the feeling they evoke within you. This short phrase becomes your secret agreement with the universe, a private code that signals the end of the battle. This is not wishful thinking. This is the mechanics of creation. Instead of fighting your reality with willpower, a finite resource that usually runs out by Wednesday, you are redefining reality in the most gentle and effective way possible. You are using the invisible force of your inner speech to reshape the visible world of stone and concrete. And the most effective time to do this is in the state most receptive to programming, the state akin to sleep, or S.A.T. Consider the case of Elena, a freelance graphic designer living in a high-cost city. She was talented, but her financial reality was a nightmare scenario familiar to many. She was trapped in the freelance feast or famine cycle, but mostly famine. Student loan letters were piling up, rent was due, and every time she sat down to design, the crippling anxiety of "how will I pay for this" paralyzed her creativity. She felt like a failure, a victim of the gig economy, with the world of Caesar shouting her poverty from every screen she looked at. Elena knew about manifestation. She had tried the complex visualizations. She tried to imagine herself in a high-end agency, shaking hands with big clients, seeing the six-figure contract. But every time she tried, the voice of her anxiety shouted louder. "Who are you kidding? You can't even pay your internet bill. No one is hiring right now." The gap between her reality and her visualization was so wide it caused her physical pain. Her frustration was palpable. That was when she stumbled upon Neville Goddard's lectures and the Lullaby Method. She realized that fighting the anxiety was a losing battle. She didn't need to conquer it. She needed to soothe it. She decided to condense the feeling of her wish fulfilled into a single, unbreakable sentence. It wasn't, "I am a millionaire," because her mind instantly rejected that as a lie. It wasn't, "I have 5 new clients," because that was too specific and triggered resistance about how she would get them. She needed a phrase that captured the feeling of total relief and success. Her phrase was, "Everything is wonderfully in order." That night, Elena stopped trying to force a movie in her mind. She lay in bed, allowing her body to relax completely, dropping the tension from her jaw and shoulders. She entered that twilight state, the S.A.T.S, where the conscious mind begins to blur and the door to the subconscious swings open. And then she began to whisper her lullaby internally. Everything is wonderfully in order. She didn't say it with force or desperation. She whispered it like a secret she already knew. She felt it. At first, the intrusive thoughts tried to break in, flashing images of the overdue notices and the empty fridge. But what about the rent? What if the client cancels? Gently, without fighting, she let those thoughts pass like clouds and returned to her anchor. Everything is wonderfully in order. She repeated it like a sweet mantra, lulling herself with the feeling that the phrase implied. The feeling of peace. The feeling of a deep, heavy burden being lifted off her chest. She looped this single phrase over and over, not as a rote repetition, but as a method to saturate her mind with relief. She did this until the feeling of peace became so real, so enveloping, that she slipped from consciousness directly into sleep while basking in that sensation. The next morning, nothing miraculous appeared on her doorstep. The bills were still on the table. The bank account balance hadn't changed digits yet. But something fundamental had shifted inside Elena. She had an anchor. During the day, when the old panic tried to rise, when the phone rang or an email notification pinged, she didn't engage with the fear. She took a deep breath, paused, and mentally repeated her lullaby. Everything is wonderfully in order. She wasn't trying to change the external reality in that exact second. She was refusing to let the external reality dictate her internal state. She was maintaining her mental diet, protecting the seed she had planted the night before. Elena continued this practice every single night, effortlessly lulling herself into the feeling of relief. About 2 weeks later, she received an email that changed the trajectory of her career. An old college classmate, who was now working as a curator for a luxury boutique hotel chain, had stumbled upon Elena's online portfolio. They were renovating their flagship lobby and several high-end suites, and they were looking for a specific aesthetic for a major commission. They asked if she was available to discuss a contract. When Elena read that email, she didn't gasp in shock. She didn't fall to her knees in surprise. She felt a quiet, steady sense of recognition. It felt natural. It felt like the next logical step. This is the hallmark of a true manifestation. It arrives with the naturalness of rain falling or the sun rising. It was the externalization of the internal state she had been faithfully cultivating in her subconscious. The feeling had become a fact. The commission didn't just wipe out her debts. It provided her with a financial runway for the entire year. It bought her freedom. Her lullaby, "Everything is wonderfully in order," had hardened into a three-dimensional reality. Elena's story is not an isolated miracle reserved for the lucky few. It is a textbook illustration of the divine mechanics that Neville Goddard spent his life decoding. Neville taught that your imagination is God in action. Your subconscious mind is the womb of creation. What you plant there, infused with feeling, must blossom in your world. There is no exception to this law. Financial anxiety is a state of consciousness. Prosperity is a different state of consciousness. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in the state of the victim and expect to manifest the reality of the victor. The fundamental error most people make is trying to change the effect, the lack of money, while remaining anchored in the state of consciousness that created it, the fear. It is like standing in front of a mirror and trying to change the reflection by screaming at the glass, all while keeping the same terrified expression on your face. You are fighting the reflection, and the reflection will always win, because it has no choice but to mimic you. The Lullaby Method is so devastatingly powerful because it shifts your attention entirely from the effect to the cause, and the cause is you. It is your I am. This technique is not about asking the universe for help or begging for a bailout. It is about imprinting the universe with your new reality. When you lie in bed in the S.A.T.s and repeat your phrase with feeling, you are declaring, "This is who I am now." You are not hoping, you are assuming. You are assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor and no ability to argue. It does not distinguish between what is real in the external world of Caesar and what is real in the internal world of your imagination. To the subconscious, the feeling is the only reality that matters. If you, night after night, fall asleep feeling relieved, grateful, and peaceful because it is finished, the subconscious accepts that sensation as a hard fact. And because its only function is to objectify what it accepts as true, it will begin to move mountains, influence people, and rearrange circumstances to bring you the evidence of your new belief. It will move the entire world if necessary to match your inner blueprint. The true beauty of this technique lies in its gentleness. There is no struggle. There is no hustle. It is an act of surrender. You are stopping the fight against the shadows of your current circumstances and starting to cultivate the light of your own consciousness. You are learning to soothe the scared inner child, assuring it that everything is and will be wonderfully in order. Many people ask, but how can a simple phrase repeated before sleep change my bank account? This question arises from the greatest illusion of humanity, the belief that circumstances create our state of mind. Neville Goddard flipped this lie on its head. He taught that it is our state of mind, our state of consciousness, that creates the circumstances. The world you see is not the cause, it is the effect. It is a three-dimensional mirror that faithfully reflects everything you accept as true in the deepest recesses of your being. If you accept anxiety as your truth, the mirror has no choice but to reflect stressful events. But if you, through the Lullaby Method, manage to plant the seed of relief, the mirror must reflect events that produce relief. The Lullaby Method is the alchemy of consciousness in its purest form. You are taking the lead of your financial stress and, instead of trying to transform it into gold with brute force, you are gently melting it in the fire of your divine imagination. Think of anxiety as a mental habit, a deep groove worn into the vinyl of your mind. Your brain has been trained to follow a specific track. Bill leads to fear. Bank balance leads to panic. The lullaby creates a new groove. At first, it is subtle, but every night you fall asleep in the feeling of thank you or it is done. That groove becomes deeper, wider, and more dominant. You are constructing a new neural highway, a new habit of consciousness. And because the external world is only a reflection of your habits of consciousness, the world must change to match your new path. This is exactly why hustling from a place of fear is counterproductive. When you struggle and strain, you are operating from the conscious mind, the mind that is fully aware of lack. You are essentially screaming at the mirror to change while holding the same terrified expression. The subconscious does not respond to effort. It responds only to faith. And faith is a state of relaxation, of assumption. The lullaby is the act of relaxing into the wish fulfilled. It is saying, the battle is over. It is already mine. Now I rest in this knowledge. But what about the how? How will the money come? That is not your business. The how is the domain of the conscious mind, the mind of anxiety that can only look at past data. Your subconscious, your I am, knows the ways and means that you know not of. It knows bridges of incidents that your logical mind could never conceive. Your only responsibility is to provide the emotional destination. The lullaby is the address of that destination. It is called relief. It is called freedom. You provide the address. Your divine subconscious handles the delivery. However, the work doesn't stop when the alarm rings. This brings us to the mental diet. The lullaby impresses the subconscious at night, but the mental diet protects that impression during the day. When you wake up and the reality of the hustle tries to punch you in the face, when the phone rings and it's a creditor, you do not engage. You recognize the sensation, but instead of identifying with it, you return to your anchor. You close your eyes for a microsecond, breathe, and mentally whisper your lullaby. Everything is wonderfully in order. Every time you choose the feeling of relief offered by your lullaby instead of the feeling of panic offered by your senses, you are dying to your old self, the broke, anxious self, and being born into your new self, the wealthy, free self. Neville taught that this is the true meaning of repentance. It doesn't mean groveling regret. It means a radical change of attitude. By choosing your lullaby during the chaos of the day, you are refusing to slide back into the old state of consciousness. You are holding your ground. Stop being a thermometer that simply reacts to the temperature of the room, your finances. Become the thermostat. You set the temperature, your feeling of peace and relief, and the room, your financial reality, must adjust to match you. Your lullaby is the dial on that thermostat. It is your instrument of command. You are not faking positivity. You are declaring that the current lack is not the ultimate reality. It is just a shadow, an echo of a past thought. And shadows have no power against the light unless you turn around and worship them. So, tonight, and every night moving forward, undertake this sacred ritual. Choose your phrase. Whether it is thank you, it is finished, isn't it wonderful, or wealth is mine. Find the one that makes you sigh with genuine relief. Enter the S.A.T.S, that blessed state between wakefulness and sleep, and then start to lull yourself. Whisper your phrase. Feel it. Let the feeling of peace and gratitude be the very last thing you experience before you slip into the silence of sleep. You are the alchemist. The lead is transforming. The work is in progress. Have faith in the process. This is the secret of Neville's lullaby. It is not to put your power to sleep, but to awaken it. It is to soothe the human mind so that the divine mind can create its masterpieces without interference. You are the operant power. You are the cause. You are the peace you have been searching for. If this deep truth resonates with your soul, if you are ready to stop fighting the old system and start allowing your abundance, then join us on this journey. Subscribe to Feeling is the Secret. Click the bell so you don't miss any of the keys we will share to unlock your divine power. Share this video with anyone who is struggling in the noise of financial anxiety. It might be the whisper they need. And if you haven't already, go down to the comments and declare your new reality. Write, "I am the relief and the peace." Seal your intention. Remember, you are not attracting wealth. You are simply coming home to it.